You know what they say about Kung Fu Panda? You can't spell right now without Po. I don't think Kung Fu Panda really needs an introduction because I'm sure everyone knows the legend of how a panda who wanted to be a Kung Fu master earned the title of the Dragon Warrior, protector of the Valley of Peace from Tai Lung, while also learning that the secret ingredient to being the hero is believing he is the hero. Basically nothing. As much as I'd love to dedicate a full retrospective of this iconic trilogy, I don't think even that would do it justice, since it really is just a phenomenal series of films where even the weakest link is still an extremely solid 8 out of 10 experience. And besides, this isn't about Kung Fu Panda, or at least in of itself. It's about, well, this.
What the fuck am I looking at?
The consequences of our actions!
It's a tale as old as time. When something becomes popular and successful, franchise expansion is inevitable. In the case of Kung Fu Panda, aside from the 2 banger sequels and another one coming out soon that I've seen a shocking lack of ads for, like, seriously DreamWorks, this is your flagship franchise, not Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. What is this design? Who agreed on this? He looks more like a fish than the actual fish people in this movie. It received multiple specials, video game tie-ins, a TV show with a kick-ass theme song. Raised in a noodle shop, never seeking glory of fame. You climbed a mountain, dropped Kung Fu Panda. And unfortunately, as I'm about to dive into, imposters. Low-budget, shameless ripoffs that steal the kung fu of what makes the Dragon Warrior who he is. I am fully aware that this is not the only or even last franchise to have its own rabbit hole of bad knockoffs. I mean, need I remind you that there are more Cars knockoff movies than the official Cars franchise would have ever gotten? Let that sink in for a moment.
I want this nigga hung by jumper cables.
But why would I cite Kung Fu Panda as a source for these particular knockoffs? Well, to put it this way, your mind thinking this would be just like this water. Once it's agitated, it becomes difficult to see. But once you allow it to settle, the answer becomes clear. Well, obviously it'd be topical. Today I'll be going into the depths of the Kung Fu Panda mockbuster cartel, and I'll be discussing 2 of these movies, plus a bonus round. Why not all of the knockoff movies? Well, simply put, I choose life, thank you. Rest assured, these movies costed money in order to make money, and if you bought these with your money, I will hunt you. And of course, I say all of this before watching any damn movies, so, yeah, here are my worthy opponents. This'll go well. Our battle will be legendary. Just to clarify, I've actually rewatched the original trilogy, you know, just to remember what happiness and peace looked like just before I slowly descend into kung fuckery. That's a pun I made up, and I do not regret that one bit. Chapter 1. Chop kick these nuts. Okay, firstly, get some fucking pants, my dude. Poe had the decency of wearing them, so should you sick bastard. But yeah, Chop Kick Panda, a film released in 2011 to coincide with the at the time recent Kung Fu Panda 2. The most unique asset of the movie, i.e. what isn't blatantly stolen from a better one, is that it's 2D animated. Wow. Does this mean we'll get to see something like that awesome hand-drawn intro sequence done by James Baxter? Nope.
Oh, it goes by many names. Jen Can Pon, Schnick Schnack Schnook, Ching Chong Chow.
Ding bong ding dong, he's stone cold.
But that's to be expected, since the movie costs an empty Kerwin Frost box to make, hence the weird lack of actual animation in this animated movie. Characters just stand around talking like this is a Family Guy episode, minus the cutaway gags. But at least in that, they actually move, like you actually see character animation. You don't see so much as a walk cycle in this damn thing, and the closest animation you'll see here are the lip syncing and the arms moving up and down like a Lego character, which feels insulting because even Lego characters had more movement than this. The one and only fight sequence in this entire movie is somehow the most well animated bit, but that's not saying much because most of it just reuses an existing animation from a previous scene and have about as much range and movement as a wax statue with a stroke. It's so stiff and robotic that it drags the movie out to a T. I should be happy that it's only 41 minutes long, but that 41 minutes can feel like 41 days because of how boring this film is. Even when putting aside the bad animation, the movie is still boring in many other ways. Of course, for starters, there's the obvious Kung Fu Panda comparisons, by which there are quite a few, down to the title, the main character, and even the very first line of dialogue.
There once lived a legendary fighter. A fighter so legendary that his legend was legendary.
Legend of a legendary warrior whose kung fu skills were the stuff of legend.
Yeah, they're definitely not beating the ripoff allegations. I hope you're ready for a lawsuit, motherfucker. We meet our main panda man, oh no, it's Zeebo, who works as a janitor at a dojo instead of a noodle shop, but he also works as a teacher too, I guess. He teaches the class about him being this legendary fighter, not to be confused with the dragon warrior, of course, who fought vicious bears, tigers, and dinosaurs. And we get this nerd who just tears it to him like, actually, dinosaurs are dead and the earth is flat. Basically like the know-it-all kid from Polar Express. And by the way, before you ask, yeah, that is his actual name. Like, I'm not even gonna get you to look it up. Just look at this. As the class ends, we're introduced to a bit of a familial conflict between Zeebo and his son, who desperately wants to bring his friends to the dojo to see him do some training. But little does he know that Zeebo isn't actually the legendary fighter he hypes himself up as, and knows just as much about fighting and taekwondo as I do about Breaking Bad or anime. Yeah, just disown me at this point. You probably don't deserve me on this platform after saying those words. I have failed you. Zeebo consults Grandmaster Han at the dojo if the kids can come up in his crib, and he's like, mi casa es su casa. And I guess he's supposed to be a stand-in for Master Oogway or Master Shifu, but either way, there were definitely no accidents here. Zeebo's like, wow, where do you get such wisdom, Master? And the other guy just pulls out a yin-yang book. And I suppose this is a recreation of that iconic scene where Po looks into the dragon scroll for the first time and then just goes like,
But the pages, they're all blank!
Just like modern literature, am I right, guys?
The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing.
Wow, it's good to know that we got the moral of the story way before we're supposed to get the moral of the story, guys. Such subtlety. Master Kung Fu Panda taught you well.
But he didn't teach you everything.
Meanwhile, we're introduced to the main antagonist of the film, Tiger Lung, who's basically a Sonic original character artist's interpretation of the Master Tiger from earlier, but just with evil eyes and scratches on his face to emphasize that he's a big meanie head who don't like good people. And also changed the color of his robe for good measure. Yeah, that's a good character design. There's also this Black Panther who's also British.
First thing you should do when you're in power is rename the village. I mean, Serenity Falls, really?
We should rename it the Valley of Peace. He requires the Dragon Amulet, a MacGuffin that holds such great power for him to take over the Valley of Peace. Yes, I got that wrong because it's my video and I'm not gonna call it Serenity Falls. That's a shit-ass name. That's a whack-ass name for a place. And okay, you know what? I actually forgot what happened in this next part. I sort of blacked out, so I'm just gonna check here.
What's he doing? He's training. To do what? Fight Mr. Clean?
Wow, what a memorable cast of characters we have here. We not only have the main panda guy, but we also have the panda kid from earlier, the know-it-all creature, girl bear, and monkey, who is secretly based. And then the rest of the scene is just about Zeebo teaching the kids some fake-ass taekwondo and shit. Like rock, paper, scissors, mopping, this.
What's the difference between taekwondo and karate?
About 3 letters. Not funny!
And I guess he tells them about the dragon amulet too, I guess. We get a lot of talking and shit. Then he does his reused animated taekwondo moves and then he breaks his fucking back. And I hope you're ready to cry, guys, because we get a sad and tragic backstory that rivals that of Kung Fu Panda 2, where the panda kid tells the girl about their mom, in which they, I guess they got her or something.
What do you mean they got him?
Why'd I ever leave jolly old England? The pubs, the royal palaces, the white cliffs of Dover, the pubs.
You just said that. What about the crack, Gromit? We forgot the crack. The British Black Panther seems to have failed to retrieve the amulet once again. So the next morning, he tricks the main characters into finding it for him.
One day later.
They give up finding the amulet, which makes the henchman really pissy, so he punches a wall. And it's revealed that it was hidden behind a painting the whole time, like way above there for some reason. They We Bear Bears their way to the top to reach it, much to their success. Except no, it isn't, because one of the great greatest plot twists in cinematic history happens. He actually wanted to get the amulet for the bad tiger who shows up randomly. Wow guys, I'm at the edge of my seat right now. Then we get a liar reveal moment where Zebo is a fake ass fighter. Then the good tiger shows up face to face with his Control-C, Control-V brother. Then we have an epic fight sequence and also pop culture references. I wish I was joking.
If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
The love of Pete. Don't start with the Yoda quotes.
Actually, it's only one, not
You gotta love how they ran out of their McDonald's money, and so they cut away from the Black Panther beating the shit out of the panda and just have these guys talking and shit. Then the tiger has the amulet. Oh no, what are they gonna do? The monkey does something based, the panda kid passes the amulet to his dad, and then he grants Sailor Moon transformation powers and becomes the legendary fighter. No, of course, it's not Dragon Warrior, guys. This is totally not a Kung Fu Panda. Then he beats the shit out of the bad guys, saving the day once and for all, and having them mop up his shit for them.
There once lived a legendary fighter. A fighter so legendary that his legend was legendary.
That is the 4th time they have said those exact words. And then the movie ends. There was very little chop kicking and more of Panda.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Chapter 2. The little panda that could not fight for shit. The little panda fighter is the most popular Kung Fu Panda ripoff. It was made by everyone's favorite Brazilian studio called Video Brinquedo, the auteurs who created other original classics such as Ratatouille, Little Cars, and Little Biatch. I'm gonna be real with you guys, you only just watched the video just so you could see me tear this one a new one, so you're welcome in advance. It's also the only honest-to-God movie they made that has its own dedicated Wikipedia page. Like, some brave soul was confident enough to write both the plot description and the fact it was made to rip off Kung Fu Panda. So in other news, the sky is blue and pandas are black and white. Also states some other poor bastard named Danny Gonzalez had to watch this, so Danny, if you're seeing this video, which is unlikely, I'm sorry. The money laundering scam opens with this establishing shot. Step aside, Jade Palace, you ain't got shit on the Bear Bar box. A singular building in the middle of nowhere with a tiny amount of trees, no sign of intelligent life, and this music. Boy, Hans Zimmer is crying at the competition right now. We're introduced to Ugly, also named Pancada. I'm sure we'll never know why he's named that. A janitor who daydreams of being a dancer, but we can't call this the little panda dancer now, can we? Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to con millions into believing that this was the movie about a kung fu fighting panda. What do you think this is, a money laundering scheme? He sits in a bucket for no reason, and we get a boxing match between a Mohawk bear and a Care Bear of all things. They definitely didn't pay the license for that.
Taste the rainbow, motherfucker!
We meet this disgusting creature with a runny nose, this creepy bear woman, and Polaris, who's so bricked up his nipples get bent whenever he sits down. He's the kind of thirst trap that Miguel O'Hara would get jealous of. God damn. He complains that because the Mohawk bear here wins every match, there's no suspense in boxing whatsoever. And I guess because he owns the Bear Fight Club, he signed a contract where he can't legally allowed to fight him himself in his own place. Because that's what Kung Fu Panda's all about. Legal negotiations. Yay!
The thing is, Mr. Polaris isn't exactly in the best of moods right now, and I was hoping I could ask to leave early. After all, it is pretty slow in here right now.
This is how everyone speaks, by the way. It's like the actor's trying to get all his lines recorded as fast as he could, just so he wouldn't have to spend more time on this shit. I relate. He talks about how he's not the violent type or some shit, and then he gets kink-shamed by the bear chick.
Leave early? Why would you need to? It's not like you ever have a date. Who'd go out with you?
What a bitch. You gotta love how Polaris has a lot of movie posters on his wall, including one of Nacho Libre, which also happened to be a movie with Jack Black. You can really tell he's a fan. I'll bet he listens to Tenacious D all the time and is also a gamer.
Guys, I played the new FNAF, and it's pretty good.
Pancada walks into Polaris's office so he can leave work early. After all, it has been a slow day. Then he talks about how he's not into violence and he pretends to like it or something. This gives Polaris an idea. Jump cuts. I did not edit that, I swear to God. Pancada visits his meditating dance instructor, and I think the world got sucked into a black hole or something. What the hell's up with this background? Also... What a difference 10 seconds make. Pancata complains that he's got no riz and he wants that bare bar pussy. So his master says, you need to have loyalty. Loyalty holds great value. And the other guy's like, oh, you mean the value of money? And Master Shufu is like,
no, what's wrong with you? Are you really that stupid?
And then they meditate. You can tell because they're doing that sound like, The next morning, Pancata comes to Polaris's office once again, and he gets the brilliant idea to disguise himself as a new challenger by dressing in a Matrix costume to get the audience going. But the suit smells like shit, just like this movie. So the Panda takes it to the washer, and I guess he forgets about it after doing his little Fortnite dance or something. Elsewhere, time travel. Some mysterious figure delivers a newspaper that straight up spoils a moment that hasn't even happened in time yet. What?
Lucky he's wearing a mask. That way no one will know who he is when he inevitably bites the stuff.
You gotta love how many audio errors they left in the movie. They give me a run for my money.
Now the nice lady likes you because she thinks you're a big champion boxer.
It has been announced that former national heavyweight champ Frank Teddy and current champion
Pancata remembers the suit, but it's too late because it's shrunk. Just like these nuts. The boxing match begins, and the ripped polar bear's suit starts shrinking, making him look like a panda. And because everyone's a moron, apparently they ultimately conclude that this new mysterious fighter is actually Pancata.
Look, Mr. Grizzlepuss, it is Pancata!
Yeah, this ripped polar bear and this dopey-looking motherfucker are apparently the same people now. What is it, because they're black and white? Fucking racist. But meanwhile, the panda is actually at a dance recital, but he screws up so badly that he jumps himself into the empty black hole where he belongs. And these guys don't seem to mind. I guess they're just staring off into the distance. This leaves Pancata a sad, lonely man, but because the other guy won the boxing match, everyone all of a sudden thinks that he was a massive champion out there and he's the absolute best fighter ever. And he finally gets that bare bar pussy that he's been complaining about getting. Yeah. Great job, buddy. Pancata believes that everyone's talking about his whack-ass, fake-ass Fortnite dances from earlier, even though they never saw that happen, but who cares? When in reality, it's because Polaris illegally fought in his own ring against the teddy bear from earlier. But since the suit shrank and made him look like a panda, they ultimately assumed that Pancata was the wrestler, since of course he's the only panda in this universe. So I guess it adds up or some shit. And now the teddy bear wants a rematch. So naturally they talk about all of this illegal bullshit out in public because, you know, why would you ever need to go to your office to talk about this kind of stuff? What are they, stupid? Then again, I don't really think it matters since the place has as many attendees as a Madame Web screening, so, you know, you don't have to worry.
My mom when she was researching spiders right before she died. You live in my building.
Also, it's at this point in the movie where I now find out that there's more than one female bear in this universe. And the worst part is that they were modeled to have that yacht, and yet they still look like they want to recreate the bite of 87.
You mean... You thought I...
Why do some of these bears have Ninja Turtle hands? We jump cut back to the panda having a chat with Master Shufu, and he talks about how he finally got that bear barb, but only for the thing he didn't do, which is boxing. So the master tells him that in order to show his loyalty, he has to fight in the ring himself against the Teddy Ruxpin Mohawk guy. And after the panda admits liking when people make a big fuss over him, I'm gonna make a big fuss about time travel, because the same shit from earlier happens where they just straight up foreshadow an event that hasn't even happened yet. They even got the photo for it, so where are they getting this? You guys know what basic continuity is, right? Like, come on. Although this is a Kung Fu Panda knockoff, so I didn't know exactly what I was expecting.
Okay, you asked for it.
Back at his office, Polaris tells the panda that he's gonna have a rematch with the Mohawk bear. Again.
Well, since Thunders wants a rematch, Thunder's itching for a rematch with you, kid.
But just as he's about to tell him that they're gonna continue this fake-ass kung fu fighting bullshit for the rest of the business, the panda says this.
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You see, I want to be the one to fight Teddy Thunder.
As you can tell, the voice acting in this movie is fantastic. And the polar bear's like, kid, you're a dancer, not a fighter. This movie's called The Little Panda Fighter. We don't want your dumb ass here. Get the fuck on out of here. But Pancata ain't gonna take no for an answer because he's fully confident that he's gonna kick the Mohawk bear's ass tonight. But because Pancata knows nothing about kung fu fighting and doesn't have kicks as fast as lightning, we go through a rocky training montage.
Oh, this is gonna be a real
really long day.
You nailed it on the head, bud, because this montage goes on for literally 3 minutes, all with reused animations, shit music, whatever this is, and stares. Poe's worst enemy.
No! Oh, no!
After 3 minutes of trial and error, the big fight is about to begin, and Pancata is shaking out of his little non-existent pants about going against the big teddy bear, and who can blame him?
He's just standing there, menacingly.
I like how this is the most hyped up WWE match, only to see that there is literally no one in this bar.
I've never seen so many customers here. I've already made a week's worth of chips.
Wow, guys, I can't believe they referenced Morbius in 2008. Now I know this is gonna make a pandillion dollars at the box office. The big fight begins, and literally after one hit, after one round, the panda goes out like a little punk. And it's good to know that the Mohawk bear punched him so hard that he turned the panda into hero brine. He gets back up again, but not before getting the absolute shit kicked in.
Oh, there goes my other eye. Time out. Oh, somebody get him off of me.
And not moving his mouth while he speaks.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm as surprised as you are. Where's the passion? Where's the panache? Where's the Pancata we know and love?
Yeah, the hero we knew and loved for like 1 day. And just when all hope is lost, Pancata treats this fight like a dance. Some may say a dance fight, but sadly it went just as well as this. But in a plot twist that would make M. Night Shyamalan piss himself, the main character loses the fight. So in other words, for a movie called The Little Panda Fighter, the little panda goes out like a little pussy. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because after an Oscar-worthy performance from Pancata trying to apologize, Polaris reveals that he actually betted against him, knowing full well that he wasn't going to beat the shit out of the Mohawk bear. And because he won the bet, he is now the richest bear in the Bear City that doesn't exist, because this is the only place in the world. And so with all of this money, he decides to retire and leave the place to Pancata. You know, it's a good thing that all that trial and error from earlier was all for nothing, guys. Well done. Great job. So the moral of the story is that kids, if you end up losing, don't worry about it. Gambling solves all of your problems. Elsewhere, Dinglepuss, I think that's his name, pieces together the time-traveling newspaper and finally figures out the Zodiac killer. But just before he could stick it to the polar bear, he already leaves, meaning that Pancata owns the place, while the polar bear goes back to his natural habitat, I think. And so the movie ends off with Pancata turning the bear bar box into a nightclub. And yes, he even gets the bitches, because his riz is just that unmatched, as evidenced by this final frame of the movie.
Yeah, you're yanking my fur again, ain't ya?
You know, I think this might be one of the worst animated movies I've ever seen. No, I will not elaborate on why. You should look at it and know why. Like, look at it. Look at it. Look at it. It's as corporate and cheaply made as a knockoff of Kung Fu Panda can be, and even when it isn't trying to rip off a better film, it is still part of the bottom of the barrel that the medium of animation has to offer. I have only seen this film once, not counting the amount of clips I had to rewatch just so I can edit this shitty video, and that one watch was all I needed to say, yeah, fuck this shit, I'm out. Chapter 3. I'll be discussing 2 of these movies plus a bonus round. Oh yes, the bonus round. So, it's nothing.
It's nothing!
Yep, you've heard me. There is no bonus round in the video. There doesn't have to be, because to add a bonus round, you just gotta believe there's a bonus round, and I believe that that bonus round is the friends we made along the way. Oh! Those were the Kung Fu Panda ripoffs. This is why you should write a script, fellow kids, because I really struggled to properly end this video on time for Kung Fu Panda 4. Now it's been a month, to a point where I lay there and ask myself, am I just going to leave this long overdue video in limbo forever? I mean, realistically, you'd expect me to review another knockoff to compensate, but good luck seeing me talk about The Prodigy, guys. It'd be easier to find me in actual China than for me to finish that shit. Let's not kid ourselves.
I think I got a rock in my butt.
But it was at this moment in which I remembered to get out of bed and decide, hey, why not just end it like any other generic YouTuber's video? It's as shrimple as that. And so having to get this stupid ass video off my mind, what did you think of it? Did you want these movies to end as quickly as I did? Did you learn any valuable lessons from it? I certainly did. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing for content that'll take me like 2 months to make. And now, my time has come.
Whoever holds this long stick is gay. What the fuck? What? You were always my next.